What's up, everybody? Welcome to Live with Jay, number 122, Mexican Independence Edition. Let's see if I get more people on here. I'm not at home right now, I'm out and about, so I decided to do this Live with Jay in the car. A lot of stuff I want to talk about, you know what I mean? So let's see if more people tap in. What over? I'm not at home, so I'm not on StreamYard or nothing like that. I'm just chilling in the car. I was out and about. Went to go eat a little while ago. Now I'm just chilling, not far from where I ate. Relaxing. Let's see if more people come on. A lot of stuff going on in the world, so definitely a good live to do. A lot of crazy things in the world, you know. So I'm just chilling like a villain. So yeah, I got a lot of things I want to talk about today. Today's Live with Jay, number 122. I know I've been absent a little bit. I've been gone. I'm just kind of busy with a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was going on in my life, so I've been really busy, and I kind of been forgetting to do a live. So, you know, I'm doing one today. A lot of stuff to talk about, you know. A lot of things have been on my mind, so for sure I want to talk about them. Share my opinion on certain things that have been going on in the world, you know. So what's up with everybody? Who's tapping in? What's up with everybody? Who's out there? Who's tapping in? I see more people coming in. What's good? Let me know what's up before I start the official Buddhaverse, Mr. Grima. Today I'm doing Live with Jay, number 122. You can probably imagine all the stuff I'm going to talk about today. But, yeah, a lot of things going on in the world. You feel me? So, want to give my little 2 cents about things. You feel me? Well, we're getting more people in, so, you know, when I talk about, when I do my live with Jays, I usually talk about political issues and different things, news going on in the world. So, I'm gonna get started now, but no, I'm not live streaming today. I'm just on regular live because I'm on my cell phone. Sometimes it's a bitch to do live stream on your cell phone. It's gotten better though. It used to be really hard to do it. It's gotten a little better, but I'm just on my regular whatchamacallit. Did I drink? I don't drink alcohol this time. I'll drink the soda, this gaseosa agua. But yeah, happy Mexican independence to my Mexicanos. What's up, shortcuts? But yeah, first thing I want to talk about is what everybody, the whole news is talking about, what just happened about a week ago. And that's the assassination or murder of Charlie Kirk. And I'm going to tell you, you know, who he is and what do I know about him. You know, I don't know a lot about him, but I'm familiar with him. So, what's up, Julio? So, Charlie Kirk, I guess he's like a political pundit, like a political influencer. He's a Republican, right wing. I don't know if I would even call him an extreme right winger. I think he's more of a, like, I would call him more, how can I say, maybe like a neocon kind of. Well, I don't know. I don't think I've never considered him like an extreme right winger. I've always kind of seen him as You know what I mean? As a political pundit. I mean a neocon, kind of like a George Bush type. But he's a right winger. He has some extremist views, and he has some anti-gay, anti-trans views. He has some anti-Latino views, anti-black views, and neocon is a neoconservative. So it's kind of like hard to explain, but the best way I could explain a neocon is kind of like the George Bush era. Those were considered neocons, like a new version of conservatives, something like that. It means neoconservatives. But but yeah. So Charlie Kirk, he was basically a political pundit, like kind of, I don't know if you could say maybe a news reporter, kind of spoke at different campuses and had like his own thing. I think it was called Turning Points America or something like that. He had like an organization, kind of similar to the Jewish dude. What's his name? Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's like a neocon. He was kind of pro-Israel. He was pro-Israel. And he would debate people at different colleges. And obviously they would edit a lot of the debates to make it look like he won all of them. But I'm pretty sure there was some debates he might have lost. It weren't aired. But he was, like I said, a right wing think tank basically, and I guess he was at at a university in Utah, a Mormon state, which is a pretty super. I'm sure it's a super Republican state. You know what I mean? Um, and it looks like he was debating somebody, and then he got taken out. Assassinated. And I mean that's crazy. You know what I mean? However you look at it, you feel me? It's pretty crazy. You feel me? And regardless if you liked him or didn't like him, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I seen a couple of videos that were floating around. I don't know if they're still around. I haven't even looked at them. But yeah, the assassination or shooting or whatever you want to call it was pretty crazy. Yeah, and he was debating mass shootings, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, me, I don't cheer for anyone to get killed or die. That's not my thing. Whether I agree with them or don't agree with them, that's I don't cheer for someone's death. That's bringing pretty bad energy around you, even if I didn't care about the dude. Now, Charlie Kirk, I don't know much about him. I don't really care about him. Certainly don't want to see no one get killed, but, he's just a neocon right-winger pundit. The first time I really ever heard about him was back when Candace Owen was kind of new to the scene. This was, I would say like 2018 or around that time. I think Candace Owen went by the name Red Pill Black Girl or something like that at that time. I don't even know if her real name was really known, and they did an interview on her. I forget where, and she broke down like her story, and Candace's own story. Candace's own story itself is pretty interesting, actually. It's kind of interesting and ironic. Maybe one day I'll tell that story too. But that's the first time I'd ever heard of Charlie Kirk, because at the time she was talking about that she was working for, I guess, Charlie Kirk's company, Turning Point USA or Turning Point America, whatever it's called. I know it's called Turning Points. And she was like bigging up Charlie Kirk at the time, like, oh, Charlie Kirk, I'm working for him. He's such a genius. He's creating Turning Points and blah blah blah. That's kind of where I first heard about him. You know what I mean? This was around, I guess, the first Trump administration. But that's not my style of politics. It's not what I really follow, so I never really followed him or knew of him. Like I kind of knew of him because I would see him around. I think I'd seen him on a couple of news reports, a couple of interviews he might have did a long time ago, um, but I didn't know really much about him. And then more recently I would see kind of videos floating around where he's debating people at colleges, and now he gets killed. You know, and it is crazy. Uh, it is crazy. And it is a crazy. It came out of nowhere. I remember when I woke up that morning. That was the first thing I seen. I seen Charlie Kirk dead. I'm like, Charlie Kirk dead? What the hell? I thought maybe he died in a car accident or something. But I'm like, Charlie Kirk dead. And then later on I find out that he got shot at a college. But it goes in a lot of things. Like Charlie Kirk was a very controversial figure. As I look into him a little bit before I did this live, he said a lot of controversial things, a lot of dumb things. Let's face it, not everything he said was smart. He said that he's not an empathetic person, meaning that he doesn't feel sorry for anyone. He doesn't believe in empathy. He thinks empathy is a fake word. He says that mass shootings aren't a big deal, that you got to have collateral damage in order for people to have guns, the Second Amendment. Said a lot of racist things, a lot of homophobic things, But again, he's a right-winger, so it doesn't surprise me. But, a lot of people are empathetic to him when he himself says he didn't believe in empathy. And he believed that he didn't believe that empathy was real. Did I see the debate he did with Kyle Kulinski? You know what? No, I haven't. I seen a couple of videos Kyle Kulinski did about the shooting, but it'd be interesting. I'll look into it. I do watch Kyle Kulinski a lot. But yeah, it's what was I saying? Like, he said he wasn't empathetic. He says it's a new age word or something like that. He said that a woman, even if a woman gets raped and has a kid, he feels that even if a woman or a child got raped, they should have the kid instead of aborting it. He didn't believe in abortions, which is a whole nother debate, and he believed all kinds of weird stuff. You know what I mean? And when he got shot, a lot of right wingers were speculating that it was a left winger, that it was a trans person, that it was a black person, that it was an illegal alien, that it was this, that it was that. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It turns out that it's some random kid from Utah, a white kid. Who might even be. They say he's from a Mormon family, like a right-wing MAGA family. So, it's questionable whether he believed in what his family believed in, or he was a left-winger. That I don't know yet. They haven't really said much about it. They just said that they arrested him somehow. You feel me? And but yeah, I know that, Rich, but should they be able to abort them? And that was the debate that was happening. But Dasher from Barranquilla, I heard that. But yeah, but it wasn't a trans person, it wasn't an illegal alien, it wasn't a black person. It was another white kid. Now, whether he had right-wing beliefs or left-wing beliefs, that I don't know. But one thing that I do know, I don't know if you guys know, is that Charlie Kirk himself had funk with another right-wing group, like serious funk. And that group is called the Groypers, and that group is led by Nick Fuentes, who's a weirdo. He's an incel. He's like close to going. He's like 30 something years old. He's never had a woman. Uh, his name is Fuentes because he's half Mexican and half Italian, I think. Uh, and he has like these super right wing, super white supremacist views, even though he's partly a beaner. And yeah, so he's had funk with Charlie Kirk, him and his supporters, his followers, and I guess they were trolling Charlie Kirk for a long time. So Charlie Kirk had no love for this Nick Fuentes kid. Nick Fuentes is a kid who's so on the right that he was banished from almost all websites. I'm seeing him fly around a lot right now because Trump is in office, but you know, Nick Fuentes for a long time was banned from YouTube, from Facebook, from IG, from a lot of things. You know, and you know, people don't talk about that. Yeah, they were saying they didn't like exactly, Chris. They didn't like Charlie Kirk because they felt he wasn't right wing enough. The main reason they didn't like him is because they felt Charlie Kirk was too much of a Israel supporter, and you know, the Groypers don't like the Jews and they don't like Israel. You know, they're anti-Semitic. So that was one of the biggest issues of why they didn't like Charlie Kirk. And it's not a secret that they were funking. You feel me? And who's to say? And I don't know. I'm only speculating. The same way they speculate. Yeah, the Groypers. That's what they're called. They use some stupid frog called Pepe the Frog or some shit as their mascot or something. They're weirdos, bro. They're led by an incel, bro. By a dude who's never touched a woman. So what does that tell you? But who's possibly a closet case himself, if you think about it. Some people have said that. Kind of like, yeah, they're part of that 4chan kind of BS. So this kid might have been, you know, a Groyper, the kid that shot him. He might have been. I'm only speculating the same way they speculate. You know what I mean? We don't know yet. Like, what I've heard is that the kid is not cooperating with the FBI. The kid that supposedly shot him. And now, you know, I've heard some things that they've caught other people on tape, on videos. It might have not even been him. It's weird, bro. It's starting to unravel like a conspiracy in a way. Who knows? Maybe Trump had him taken out. I mean, maybe Charlie Kirk was becoming too powerful. We don't know. I don't know. He seemed like he was becoming like he wanted to become powerful, maybe become a politician or something. I wouldn't be surprised. So who knows? We don't know. You know? But, yeah, again, like I said, I don't, it was Diddy. I don't celebrate anyone dying. I don't really like political violence because I think political violence is not going to get anywhere. It's not going to get anybody anywhere. It's just going to create more divisions. It's going to create more divisions. It's going to create more political violence. And I don't know, man. It's like people need to take a chill pill with this BS, man. Politics are not that serious to go around killing people. We're not in a third world country. You feel me? You know, that stuff that happens in those kind of places. Like, I don't know. That's just my take on it. Again, I'm not celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I don't celebrate people's death, whether I like them or don't like them. I can't really say I liked or disliked Charlie Kirk because I didn't know much about him. You know what I mean? I just know, that that's what he was. He was a political pundit, a right-wing political pundit, and he had he got shot. You know, it's pretty crazy, you know. Condolences to his family, you know what I mean? Because it kind of sucks that he left a wife and kids. But can't say I really cared about what he talked about or followed his politics because I'm not a right-winger. So, you know, I I'm sure there were some things I might agree with him, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things I might disagree with him. But you know, I know a lot of people are saying that this could cause a race war, a civil war, blah blah blah. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I really don't know. I really don't care, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I don't take politics that serious. But it is crazy, and it can have a lasting effect. You know, and it's unfortunate. A lot of people are pointing the fingers before knowing what really happened. Like people are automatically assuming it was the left, it was a trans, it was a black person, without knowing. And what it looks like, it was white on white violence. You feel me? The only thing we don't know yet is if the white kid was a right winger or a left winger. We don't know. You know, maybe he was neither. Maybe he was center. I don't know. You feel me? But I'm not gonna cry tears for Charlie Kirk because I didn't know him. Would he cry tears for me? The only thing I could really say is that I don't celebrate people's death, and that's what I'm gonna leave it at. So yeah, man, leave it in the comments. Tell me what you think. I've been talking, kind of chilling in the car right now. I only talk about it because it is big news. It's the big story right now. So, hell, I'm gonna put my 2 cents about it. Yeah, I went to In-N-Out earlier. Puro In-N-Out! I'm going to talk about another story that I'm sure you guys heard about. This is a pretty crazy story, and there's a lot of layers to this story. That's true, Chris. That's why I don't celebrate nobody's death. I mean, did I care about his politics? No, but I don't wish death upon him. In spite of maybe some of the dumb things that he said that I didn't agree with. And then now supports ICE. Probably all these places support ICE. Aren't they owned by a religious fundamentalist or something? Chick-fil-A too. The only thing is In-N-Out don't close on Sundays. Chick-fil-A does. I heard that was made up. I read somewhere that In-N-Out claimed that they weren't going anywhere. But I don't know. Boy Loco? But yeah, man. Polo Loco? The owners? Well, I don't know. I'd heard something that they might be leaving, but then I heard it wasn't true, supposedly. I don't know. But anyway, so now I'm going to talk about the next story that I'm pretty sure some of you might have heard about. And that was a story that happened in, I guess it was North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, I believe. And I'm sure some of you might have heard about it. It was a Ukrainian girl. I think her name was Irina. I can't remember her last name. Irina something. I can't remember. But if you know it, put it in the comments. But Robert Redford, did he die? But this happened. I guess this happened back in August, but the story barely came out. Like about a couple weeks ago or a week ago, like around the same time as the Charlie Kirk murder happened. So I guess it was this girl. She was Ukrainian. Her name was Irene, not Irene, but Irina. And she was riding a light rail. You know what a light rail is, kind of like kind of like the light rail they have in Sacramento, or the one they have in San Jose, or the Muni Metro in San Francisco. I guess she was riding the light rail at night, and she was coming off of work. I guess she worked at I think at a pizza place, they said. And she came on a light rail, and you know, if you look at the video that they show, it was mostly black people on the light rail that night. Most likely she probably rode it a lot, so I'm pretty sure she wasn't too uncomfortable riding it, because she probably was used to it, I'm sure. And then some black dude that was sitting behind her just stabbed her for no reason, like for no reason whatsoever. There was no incident, no argument, no fight, no nothing. The dude was just J-catted out and just stabbed her and killed her, man. And the weird thing is like when I don't know, it's hard to tell. In the video, it looks like nobody helped her or said anything. Now, I don't know if maybe they didn't know what was going on. I know some of the people looked like they might have been on listening to their earphones or something. Maybe they got distracted. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to say why nobody helped her right away. Then the dude gets up and he moves. And some people say that he moves and he's heard saying, "I got that white girl." Now, I don't know. It might be true. I don't know. You know, I did see a video where he gets up, and you can see like blood coming down. Yeah, it's a weird video. Shortcuts. I seen the actual unedited video, and it almost doesn't even look like he stabbed her. It's weird. I don't even see really the knife. It must have been a little knife or something, because it almost seems like he just touched her and he walked away. It's in the video, and that could be the reason why no one said anything, because they didn't know. You know what I mean? Maybe they didn't know. Maybe, I don't know if she screamed. It looks more like she was in shock than anything. It didn't look like she was screaming or nothing. But you know, I'm pretty sure if she would have screamed for help, I'm pretty sure people would have reacted differently. I'm sure someone would have did something, or at least tried to help, or at least push the guy away or something. But either way, man, it's pretty tragic. You know, it's pretty disgusting. You know, to just stab someone like that for no reason whatsoever. You know, and yeah, but a lot of people, and this is the part I'm gonna talk about. A lot of people are making this a race issue, and it could be. I'm not saying it's not. You know what I mean? But you have to understand, a lot of JCats and weirdos ride public transportation. And unfortunately, that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't want to ride public transportation sometimes. Not because they don't like riding it, because sometimes it's a risk. You know? And yeah, I think I heard about that shooting, and yeah, I think it happened the same day that Charlie Kirk, right? But you know, sometimes people don't want to ride public transportation, and I used to ride BART for a minute at night, a little bit around like after the COVID time, and yeah, bro, I used to ride it at night sometimes, and I would see some crazy motherfuckers on BART. Like, I don't remember seeing that many crazies when I was younger, like I do. Like, I don't know now. I haven't rode BART recently, but few years ago, 2-3 years ago, I remember riding it, and there was some locals on there, man. Like, unhinged locals. I mean, it was kind of scary, bro, a little bit, because you know, if you're not armed or nothing, you don't know what they got, and they're out of their mind, crazy. I'm talking about crazy people, not like some guy just talking. I'm talking about lunatics, like, you know what I mean. So, and a lot of people forget something similar happened on BART some years back, at least like 5, 6, 7 years ago. There was a black girl named Mia Wilson, and she was riding the BART back from Concord, if I remember right. They were coming from a family member's house who lived in Concord, and they caught the BART at the Concord BART. Her name was Nia Wilson, and she was with her sister. And they were coming back towards Oakland, and when they got to the MacArthur station, this random white dude that was riding the BART stabbed her, Nia Wilson, and killed her. Same, very similar to what happened to the Ukrainian girl in Charlotte. He was a white dude in this case. He stabbed her. It didn't look like there was any incident. I mean, that I know of from the videos they showed, it didn't look like there was it didn't look like there was any kind of confrontation or they got into an argument or nothing. It looked like it was just random. You feel me? From what it looked like. I don't know if maybe before that they had maybe got into an argument or something, but it didn't seem that way. You know what I mean? And just randomly stabbed her, killed her. And at the time, people made it a racial issue too because of the white guy killing a black girl. And again, I can't say it wasn't a racial issue. But what I can tell you in all these cases, it's a JCAT issue. And I've been telling you guys, we have a serious JCAT problem in this fucking place, bro. You know what I mean? And yeah, JCATs ride public transportation because it's easy for them. Because all they got to do is jump these turnstiles or sneak in. You know, and it's a free ride. And I don't know, man. I guess you know, BART police or the transit police don't do anything to prevent this from happening. But the bigger thing is, a lot of people point to race in a lot of these cases, you know, and it might, again, the situation in Charlotte, North Carolina, might, you know, race, I'm pretty sure, played somewhat of a factor. The case in the BART, I'm sure race might have played somewhat a factor. But you know, the dude who did the thing in North Carolina and the dude that got arrested for Nia Wilson's murder, they all had criminal records. They all had records of schizophrenia, records of being crazy. Both of them. And I think I even heard a report where it said that the dude in North Carolina's mom had actually told police that she wanted him institutionalized because he was crazy, you know. So even his own mom knew that he was crazy. And I think these things are never going to be solved if we don't look at it in the, if we don't look at the Groypers, if we don't look at it in a mental case issue. And the thing is, people get too emotionally invested and racially invested in these cases, and they go the race first without looking at the mental condition. You know what I mean? Even school shooters, even like random shooters, you know, like dudes that do school shootings or go to malls and shoot up malls, something's not right with them. Even if they use their case as a race thing, something's still not right with them. And how do you solve that situation? You know, Ronald Reagan, and I know this was a long time ago, this was 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan is the one that closed down a lot of mental health places. He closed down a lot of mental health, like places that house mentally ill people or treatment places. So really, since the 80s, that's why you've seen a growth of mentally ill people on the streets. And you add drugs, you know, in the 80s it was crack. Today you add fentanyl and other drugs, and it gets even worse, you know. So basically, that is an effect of Reaganomics shortcuts. Whether we want to believe it or not, sometimes the past will affect the future, you know. Because I don't remember so many. I used to ride BART all the time. I used to ride BART all the time in the 90s, bro, in the 80s too. And I mean, yeah, there were always some crazies here and there, but I don't remember nothing like what I see now, bro. Or at least what I seen a couple years ago. Like I never seen like crazy. Like when I was young, if some dude would have been crazy, unstable on the BART police would have came quick, for sure, and got that person removed. But like a couple years ago, I would ride BART and there'd be like fucking crazy motherfuckers on there, and no one would do nothing. Just normal. I was like, wow. And to me, stuff like that shouldn't be normalized, man. But yeah, you know. Well, the thing is, now Knox are becoming JCACs. You know, back in the days, you just had Knox who were fiending for dope, and you had JCACs. Now they kind of become one. Because I notice now a lot of crazies, they don't even bum for change anymore. They just act crazy on the streets with no purpose. At least the Knox, they would just ask you for change. Probably the worst thing they would ask you. But yeah, man. I mean, that's the problem. The problem with these cases is people are too quick to push race, which they might have a point. There might be a racial component to it. I'm not saying there isn't. In any case that I talked about, whether it's the Irina girl from South Carolina, North Carolina, or whether it's Mia Wilson some years back in Oakland, maybe there was a racial component to their deaths. I'm not saying they're not, but there definitely was a JCAT component. And if we don't fix or solve that problem, these things are just going to continue to happen. And it's just going to become normalized. It already is becoming normalized. Brought back mental health places. I don't think there's going to be a civil war, bro. People are too complacent, bro. And to have a civil war means you gotta kill a lot of people. That's what it requires. A civil war is the people against the government a lot of times. You know, and who really does anybody really have the power to stand up against our fucking government who has nuclear weapons and submarines and crazy military drones? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna happen. Maybe civil unrest, maybe. Where like little groups are fighting other groups, that I could see happening. But a full-on civil war like we had in the 1800s, I don't think so. Bipolar. I think my older sister, might be bipolar. But yeah, man. And I'm not saying like that people that have mental issues are bad or we should, exterminate them. No, I'm saying there has to be something done to help people that have mental issues. Whether it's locking them up for a little while, giving them meds to make them better, or finding out what the fuck is wrong with them. You know what I mean? Because there's some people out there that are just kind of out of control a little bit. And that's the issue, you know? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had a sick-ass South Pole shirt back in the days, I remember. It was a brown one, a button-up. It's really nice. Yeah, I think the drugs today play a big part in it. I agree. You know, like the fentanyl and I heard a lot of the mess that they do now is very powerful. So yeah, man. Now I had this brown, like light brown, kind of like tropical looking South Pole shirt. It was dope. I remember hella people used to jock it back in the days. Yeah, but just that case with that girl, that in the Ukrainian who left the war zone to be killed randomly by some J cat. Pretty crazy, man. Pretty disgusting. No matter how you look at it. I mean, you got to think of yourself as that person. Like, we live in an area. At least those of us who live in the Bay Area, we live in an area that has a lot of public transportation, and sometimes we ride it because we have to. And you don't want to get fucking attacked or hurt for nothing. You're coming home from work tired. You just want to get home, and some fucking JCap miserable piece of shit comes and stabs you or shoots you or something for nothing. Like, man, it's just like fucked up, man. That one hits me because I've been a person who's rode public transportation half of my life. You know what I mean? And thank God in my time, I never really had any issues riding it. I never had too many issues. But, in my era, it wasn't as bad as it has become more lately. There was a little bit more security on public transportation when I was growing up. I'm sure there were crazy things that happened, like on AC Transit and stuff, Muni and stuff. I'm sure I heard about fights breaking out and stuff like that. But, like JCat that stabbed some people in the bus stop at Water. Dude was catted. Oh, yeah, I remember you told me about that. What's up? Why not? How you been, bro? Yeah, but I mean, it's just like I don't know. I don't know how that problem can be solved. You know, it's just but I definitely when people are quick to just point the finger at race, that's not going to solve that issue. You know, because again, they say, oh, a black man stabbed a white girl, but a white guy stabbed a black girl here in the Bay Area the same way. So, you feel me? So, we're all a little insane in this world. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, man. Pretty crazy situation. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that one. Leave in the comments. Tell me what you think. That's kind of what, wanted to talk about a little bit about that issue. Yeah, I heard about like sometimes people fighting over gang stuff on the board. Nick Fuentes on his show yesterday said he had nothing to do with Kirk's Alive, and his chat room was angry at him. Well, yeah, of course. He's not going to be stupid enough to say something. He's probably going to try to distance himself from that funk he used to have with Charlie Kirk. Oh, yeah, I heard about. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, shortcuts. That is true. That did happen. That was over there kind of by 73rd, wasn't it? I believe. I guess some idiots tried to rob a gold store or a pawn shop or something like that. Um, in the deep, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he was bipolar. Nick ain't gonna be crazy enough to say he had something to do with it. That would be fucking suicide for him. But anyway, some dudes, I guess they robbed one of those places sells gold in the deep east. And when they went to rob it, the owner shot two or three of them. I think he killed two of them. And they caught They caught, it was like a pawn shop or a gold place. They caught, I guess, one or two people. So there was several people that tried to rob it, and I think two got shot, three got shot, something like that. And the ones that got caught are being charged with the murder, even though they didn't kill them, but they were charged with the murder because there's a law where if you go to commit a crime and your accomplice gets shot, you get charged with their murder. And their mom was like on a news report trying to say, "Oh, my kid, he was such a sweet kid," and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, your kid was over there robbing a gold store. Obviously, there wasn't a good mothering right there, good parenting. Gold don't suave, probably. How many were shot, Shortcuts, you know? Was it two, three? I think it was about two that I heard got shot, or three that got shot, and two might have died. Six got shot, but only two died, I think. Two died, okay. That's pretty crazy, man. But, you know, owners are getting tired of it, man. Like, not trending in Oakland, bro. Like, people just keep on fucking with people in Oakland. It's unfortunate. In the hand, orderly. Like, you know, business owners are starting to get tired of it, bro. And I can't blame them if they're getting hit every time, robbed every time. You know? It's like, I can't blame them for fighting back. I noticed American Cholo hasn't gone live in 2 weeks. Really? I haven't really seen American Cholo in a long time. I'm not sure, bro. He didn't even talk about Charlie Kirk. But yeah, I mean, look at like that. There are a couple of 7-Elevens that have closed. And the one by Grand Lake, they robbed it like 4 or 5 times. Like, come on, man. That's just JCash shit, man. I'm telling you, bro. People are just retarded nowadays. It's one thing about Oakland I don't get, man. Everybody in Oakland wants to act like they're so proud about Oakland, but, you know, they want to do dumb shit to Oakland. Get the businesses in Oakland closed down because of dumb shit. And it's like, and then you want to get mad when people criticize it, you know? Not even Richmond. That Richmond used to be way worse than Oakland at one point. It's even that bad anymore. I don't hardly ever hear that much about places in Richmond getting robbed or getting, you know, or anything like that. Any what? CVS been closing Walgreens. I know they closed a couple of Walgreens a while back. In Vallejo, too, I noticed they closed a couple of Walgreens, too. But yeah, it's just like what happened in Oakland. It's just the owners are getting tired, man, of getting hit up every day. I mean, if I was a business owner, if motherfuckers would rob me every day, you know, I'd have to get drastic after a while, bro, if I want to keep my business open. How's that fair to some fucking scumbag JCags coming to rob you every time? You know? The only CVS I know in Oakland, I think there's one in Alameda. There's two in Alameda, or one or two in Alameda, and I think there's one like off of Piedmont Avenue. I can't remember. There might be another one too. I just can't remember. Nah, I'm not going. But yeah, man. I don't know, man. I hope things change in Oakland after a while, man. For sure, they got to crack down on some of the crime there. Oh shit, that's crazy. And Oakland's a cool town, man. Oakland's a pretty beautiful city. It's not an ugly city at all. It's just some people keep it ugly. Who was the mayor when the Oakland Hills fire? I think the black dude, Eliu Harris, I think was the mayor by then. I believe could have been Lionel Wilson, but I think Lionel Wilson was gone by then. Yeah, Richmond's not as bad as it used to be at all. I remember when Richmond. I think the last time that I remember Richmond being really bad was like between like 2009 and 2012, like around that time. No, it wasn't Ron Dellums. He was a congressman back then. It was Eliu Harris. You don't remember him? Dude who wore glasses. And before that, it was Lionel Wilson. It could have been Lionel Wilson too. I can't remember. But maybe by then Lionel Wilson was gone. Yeah, that was Eliu Harris. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the mayor by then. I do remember Wilson was the mayor when the earthquake happened in '89. Ooh, Eliu Harris? Nah, he was a black dude. When the fire happened, when the fire happened, I think it was either Duke Majan or it was Pete Wilson. I can't remember because it was around the time Pete Wilson came in power too. It was around that time. I know when the earthquake happened, it was Duke Majan. Oh yeah, I think I still have that album somewhere in my house. I remember the mayor when the earthquake happened in San Francisco was Art Agnos. You remember him? And Richard Jordan became the mayor after him. Richard Jordan was a former SFPD. Was his name Richard Jordan? His last name was Jordan, I remember. Believe it or not, he was from the Mission. I like watching like conspiracy stuff sometimes. I seen a story, the honey bears. The only bears from Eddie City. But yeah, no, I was gonna tell you guys a story. Willie became mayor like after Jordan. Frank Jordan was his name. Frank Jordan. So I would have to say Willie Brown. Willie Brown was like he was like a senator or Congress, or he was something in government before that, I remember. But he became mayor like, yeah, like mid or late 90s. For sure. It was right after Frank Jordan. What's up, Iron? But I was going to tell you a story. Oh, yeah, when they threw a pie at of Willie Brown, too, during that time. It was a group that used to throw pies at people. It was like a protest group. He put up Kamala. He sure did. Kamala was fine when she was young, though. I gotta give her that. That's the black dude. Yeah, well, yeah, that was Willie Brown. But now I'm gonna tell you guys a story. So, the 9/11 anniversary just passed, and I've always been into 9/11 conspiracies and stuff like that since I was young. And I remember at the time when 9/11 happened, like, I don't know, maybe a week or so after it happened, I remember telling someone, like, what's crazy about 9/11? I was like, someone could have got murdered, or someone could have committed a murder that day and totally got away with it. And no one would ever investigate or find out whatever happened. You know what I mean? If in New York, I mean. I said, that's a crazy thing that I'm pretty sure people have, someone could have did something crazy and got away with it. Because, the police, government, they were all focused on the tragedy, obviously, what happened. So it turns out there are a couple cases like that I watched a few videos on where people did disappear, and it had nothing to do with 9/11 itself, but they happened to happen on or around 9/11. So one story was about a disgruntled doctor. She was an Indian lady. I forget her. I think her first name was Seha. I think that was her name, Seha Ann Phillips. And you guys could look that up if you don't believe me. So Seha Ann Phillip, I think that was her name. I know her name was Ann Phillip, but I think her first name was Seha. Seha Ann Phillips was a practicing doctor. She was Indian, from India, and she was married to a Jewish guy. And she lived in, I guess she grew up in, yeah, but it was spelled differently. I think it was Seha was her first name. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You could look it up if you want. Just look up Ann Phillips 9/11 and you'll find her name. I can't look it up right now because I'm not on my laptop. But anyway, this lady, Ann Phillips, she was a practicing doctor. Like, she had, I guess doctors, they got to do, what do they call that training? Where you go to a hospital and you train. What do they call that? I forget what they call it. I think nurses do it too. So this Ann Phillips lady, she had been kind of in a rocky. She lived in New York, not far from the like a residency or whatever. Internship. There you go. That's what they call it, internship. So she was doing an internship at a hospital, and she lived not far from the World Trade Center, and I guess she kind of had a rocky relationship with her husband, who was a Jewish guy, and she would. I'm pretty sure she might have been cheating on him. If you hear the story, that's what it kind of sounds like. Whether it was with women or men, that I don't know, but apparently there was beliefs that she might have been bisexual, and that she would go to like gay bars and meet women possibly, and she would spend the night at their houses. Put it like this, she would drink a lot. She had like alcohol issues. She had a lot of problems, according to the story. And she used to leave her husband, and she would spend the night at other people's houses, whether that was men or women, that I don't know. But a lot of it they think was maybe women. So it wasn't uncommon for her to leave and and spend the night somewhere else randomly. So September 10th came around, and I guess her husband was also a practicing doctor as well. Doing a residency or internship, whatever they call it, at another hospital. And looks like she did. Looks like she had a liquor license for both. And apparently, like, I guess she had been seen on September 10th by her husband, and then the last time she had been seen alive was at a department store. I forget what it was called, like like a Macy's type store. And there's actually a video of her shopping, and they said that the last thing she bought was actually like sexual clothes, like lingerie and stuff like that. And 9/11 happened. No, 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 no. So I think what happened was the next morning, that when 9/11, before the actual planes hit the building, her husband noticed that she wasn't home, and she hadn't called, but he had to go do his internship or whatever. And then when he went to the hospital to work, 9/11 happened. The planes hit the building and all the crazy shit happened. And he didn't hear from her at all. Nothing. No phone call, no nothing. So after everything happened, I don't know, I can't remember if it was the next day possibly, he was able to get back to his apartment, which was not far from the World Trade Center from where that happened. And there was a lot of dust in there because of the dust cloud, but there was no footprints like anyone had been there. There was no evidence that Ann Phillips, Seha Ann Phillips, I believe was her name, had been there. Her passport, her glasses, her reading glasses, or her glasses, because I wear glasses, like things that she probably would have took if she was out and about, were there. But there was no signs of her. Nothing. No one ever heard from her again. So there was this big mystery. And at the time, because 9/11 happened and all focus was on the World Trade Center, they didn't really give a shit about some missing lady. You know what I mean? They really didn't. So they didn't put much importance into it till much later. Much, much later. Till everything started dying down on 9/11. And she just disappeared like that. The perfect crime. And there's a lot of speculations of what might have happened. She had a lot of issues in her life. She actually got into she had been accused of making up a story that a dude tried to grope her or something. There was also, like, because of her drinking problem, she was probably gonna get fired from her doctor's job. And there was just a lot of things that were going on in her life that were kind of a mess. And then so some people speculate maybe she used 9/11 to disappear, and maybe she started a new life somewhere. But why is it 20 something years later, nothing? Some people believe maybe she escaped with a lesbian lover or something, but why is it 20 something years later still nothing? And others believe she might have died at the World Trade Center somehow, some way, which is not out of the realm of the possibility. I mean, they lived right near the World Trade Center, and she wasn't all there in the head, but at the same time, she was a doctor. So it could have been a possibility that she came home and she went to the World Trade Center to help people because she was a doctor and they needed all medical stuff. So that could have been a possibility, and she could have died in the World Trade Center. Another thing is she could have been kidnapped by a lover or by some random dude at a bar, because she would go to bars and and go home with strangers and weird stuff like that. So no one knows, bro. Like, she completely disappeared. So what I'm trying to say is, like, if someone did delete her, take her out, it was the perfect fucking crime, bro. That's crazy when you think about it. That's hella crazy. You know what I mean? When you think about it, like, there's just no one knows whatever happened to this lady. Hell, maybe even the boyfriend, the husband, I mean, might have deleted her. But still, the police didn't put in importance to the case because she technically disappeared on September 10th and not September 11th, according to what the law enforcement said. So yeah, that's a crazy story. Look it up if you don't believe me. I think her name was Seha. I know her last name was Ann Phillips. But if you look up Ann Phillips 9/11, you'll find her story. It's a trippy story, bro. It's a really trippy story. Maybe. Who knows whatever happened to her, bro? I think two things either happened. My thing is she either died on 9/11 for sure, and it's not out of the realm of possibility because she lived not far from the World Trade Center, according to the story. She lived only like a mile from it or less. Or someone deleted her and they got away with it because 9/11 happened. You know what I mean? The perfect crime, which is fucked up, but it's crazy. But yeah, it seemed like she had a lot of issues herself, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, you know. But that's a crazy case. I had never heard about it till more recently. I think I watched it like a couple months ago, and then I watched it again recently. Look it up. I think her name was Seha Ann Phillips. She actually wasn't that bad looking, actually. Reminds me of my ex. My ex was Indian. I can tell you a lot of stories about her. Contact her. She might be alive. You never know. Maybe she's in India or something. Who knows? She might be alive, living another life. You know, she could have changed her identity. It's not. She could have used 9/11. Also, that's another theory that people have. She might not even be dead. She might be alive. Maybe she's watching this live right now. Who knows? In Calcutta. Who knows what happened to her? Chances are she's probably gone. Whether 9/11 took her or whether some JCAT took her or maybe her jealous husband or something. Who knows, you know? But it is a crazy story, though. You don't believe me, look it up. But hey, y'all, I'm going to tap out. I got to get back to the house. I just wanted to tap in because I hadn't done a live in a while. You feel me? Share with me. Yeah, I have her in the back seat. But anyway, yeah, bro, just wanted to share that story with you guys. Because, you know me, I've been into 9/11 conspiracies for years. You feel me? But, yeah, we talked about Charlie Kirk. We talked about the killing on the light rail in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how it has similarities to a killing that happened to Neil Wilson on the BART here in Oakland. You know, talked about this case of Seha Ann Phillips. And, yeah, man. That Cashmere Kuka, it's pretty good, actually. The Groypers. We talked about the Groypers also. Alright, y'all. Shortcuts, Bipolar, Why Not, Chris Grima, Frazier, Julio Solorio, you know, Iron Fisticuffs, everybody else. You guys be safe. Alright, y'all. Late.